May Jehovah God and Jesus Christ bless you all. Spider-Man 2000 is a beloved game by many. I only played the demo version on PS1, but I used to watch my cousins play this game on the N64 when I was growing up. Although I never got around to playing Spider-Man 1, I actually jumped ahead and got Spider-Man 2 Inter Electro, but I never even finished that game and I can't even find it. I have all my old PlayStation 1 games and I have no idea where that game is anymore. But all of that is going to be fixed right now because what I'm going to do is for the first time play through Spider-Man 1 for the PlayStation 1 while reviewing my experience. I wanted to fuse basically a full playthrough into a review, so that's what this new format is going to be, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into Spider-Man 1. Dr. Octavius is showing off his new device at the Science Expo while Peter Parker and Eddie Brock are in the crowd. They don't say what the device is, but it seems important enough for Spider-Man to steal it. This obviously doesn't make any sense, and Peter tries to break through the crowd to stop the imposter, while Eddie Brock is trying to get the best shot for the bugle. But the fake Spider-Man grabs Eddie's camera and breaks it. This makes Eddie have a mental breakdown, which unleashes Venom, who swears to get revenge on Spider-Man.
Rest easy, Brock. Venom is here. And if it's the last thing we ever do, Jameson and the insect are gonna pay.
We cut to two shady figures standing with the stolen equipment, and a gas is released in New York City. Now, it's pretty obvious who these two villains are, and if you have just the tiniest bit of Spider-Man knowledge, you can figure it out, but for now, we're gonna leave it as a mystery. We're treated by one of the greatest openings to any video game, narrated by Stan Lee.
Welcome, true believers and newcomers alike. Spider-Man co-creator Stan Lee here. Once again, we find our hero Peter Parker, better known around the world as the Amazing Spider-Man, in a heap of trouble. But this is just the beginning, Spidey fans. So get ready for a true superhero action thriller, packed to the brim with thrills and chills, twists and turns, more supervillains than you can shake a web at, and of course, non-stop web-slinging, wall-crawling action.
Leading into Black Cat informing Spider-Man of a bank heist going down that she surprisingly isn't a part of. This could be one of those good versions of Black Cat, as she's kind of an anti-hero. She kind of goes back and forth, so that's probably why she's on our side. But it's no time to think about that right now because
they've got hostages.
The first level starts off as a tutorial, as Black Cat will fill you in on Spider-Man's many moves. Swinging in this game is very stiff, but that's to be expected as this is a PlayStation 1 game, and it almost feels like I can barely move him midair, but I'm pretty sure once you go into a direction with your swing, he pretty much just goes in that direction. You really can't make any adjustments. So before you go swinging into action, you better look at your compass and line yourself up just right to the next building, or you could just miss it entirely. It's good that God made me experience this death early into the game because I learned that you might have to start all over if you haven't reached a checkpoint yet. Again, PlayStation 1 game here. Now that we finally reached a bad guy, we actually have a punch and a kick button. These are two separate buttons. There's no just mashing one button to attack. And you could sort of mix between the two if you want to, but it's best if you just stick to the one button combo, as there's really no benefit to go from punching to kicking and back and forth. And of course, being Spider-Man, you can web up bad guys, and this would be overpowered if not for them being limited. There are web pickups that refill your shooter, and you can have up to 10 at once. The game also has a stealth undertone, as you can land on a rooftop and web attack any unsuspecting crook. Your spidey senses can go off while climbing up buildings, warning you of a potential threat, and that's good because, as you can see, the camera system in this game doesn't really allow you to see enemies above you while climbing. You also have a web ball as a projectile that does more damage than you would think, and it's actually a good strategy to web up any bad guys and then hit them with a web ball because at that point they're just a sitting duck. But you gotta be careful when using the web balls because I found myself shooting them off prematurely, and even though Spider-Man has an auto lock-on system, which has these cones pointing down on the enemy's heads, that doesn't mean he'll auto-correct and face the enemy when you use the web ball, so just be careful. Now, the lock-on system seems to have a flaw because you can't actually change who you're locked on to. So a lot of the times they would lock me onto an enemy that's not in front of me, and the enemy in front of me is attacking me, and the only way you could kind of get the game to redirect is hopefully if you just punch that enemy, it'll change for you, but that's not even always the case. Because sometimes the game will just redirect you back to the enemy that they want you to be locked onto. It's not a perfect system, and for right now, this isn't that big of a deal, but it is flawed. And you can just jump away from the bad guys, and hopefully the game will give you a new target, but like I said, they might still just put you back on the other target that they want you to fight anyway. We learned that the J Syndicate is behind the robbery, and we already know that.
They've got hostages.
This is the first interior level in the game, and this is where things can get a little bit shaky. We have to sneak around and save hostages, otherwise it's game over. You can press R1 to web zip up to the roof, but if you need more precision, you can actually bring up a cursor and select exactly where you want to web zip, although the light must turn green on the cursor, otherwise Spider-Man won't go. The reason I said things can get a little shaky here is because, well, the camera. Climbing the walls changes the camera, which also changes your controls. There is a camera button that puts the camera behind Spider-Man's back that can fix this, but you might forget that this even exists while trying to, save the world. This level is also a tutorial as it teaches Spider-Man not only how to sneak around, but he can pick up items and whack guys upside the head. You'll have to use these skills later as you need to flip some switches in this level and grab this bomb and throw it into this safe before the time runs out. Just make sure you take out all the guards quickly or someone might get hurt. So far, I would say the first two levels in this game are well made with good enemy placement. The game is basic in its mechanics, but it works by keeping the action fresh with different scenarios. Neversoft did a good job here considering the limitations of the era. You could tell this game was created with the mindset that every moment must count and we cannot leave the player bored. Way different than games nowadays because they care more about prolonging the game with filler just so they can say that the game is 30 hours long. We get a call from JJ and he's being attacked by Scorpion. Kinda weird that he called Peter to tell him to call the police. I wouldn't be surprised if JJ knows that Peter is Spider-Man because why would he do that? Why didn't he just call 911 himself? We must race to the bugle before Scorpion kills JJ. We got time to take out the bad guys on the roof, but you don't have to if you don't want to. This level teaches you to jump forward before swinging. Now this might seem obvious to some of you, but my spidey senses must have been malfunctioning because I kept falling to the pavement because I kept forgetting this mechanic. Scorpion is the first boss fight of the game, and boy, did he kick my butt. I lost him more times than I would like to admit. He just kept whacking me after I would do a combo, and he even tried to hit me with his laser, but thankfully I dodged that. Now this fight did reveal one thing that's missing from Spider-Man. There is no defense option. Like there's no block, there's no roll, but you can jump away, and that seems to be the only defense mechanism you got. I tried kicking him instead of punching him, which seems to do more damage, but I still kept dying to Scorpion. Jehovah God and Jesus Christ helped me out of this one by reminding me to web him up so he wouldn't move, and while he's still, to throw a desk at him because this does a crap load of damage. But just make sure you're quick about it because he can hit you if you're not fast enough. But it does a lot of damage, so it's important to web him up, then throw some type of furniture at him in JJ's office. I also like the little detail of JJ hiding behind the furniture, so as you get more into the fight, he has less places to hide because you're constantly just grabbing furniture to do damage to Scorpion. And at some point, I'm imagining he just has nowhere to go. The web balls are also good here, but you aren't always locked on, so don't waste your time on them. And the good old-fashioned dive attack does a lot of damage as well, and for the most part, you're safe when pulling this off. Jehovah God and Jesus Christ also helped me with getting hit after doing a combo. Once you land your third hit, he will do a counterattack on you. So what you want to do is jump away right before that happens, and you'll avoid getting hit. And they also pointed out that doing the kick combos seem to work best in this experience, so I would stick to those over punches. After taking Scorpion down, JJ rats on us to the police, and we have to make a quick escape. We run into Daredevil, who questions our innocence, but doesn't need much convincing. The next few levels have you swinging around New York City while NYPD guns down Spider-Man with bullets and rockets. Like, I don't think you guys really heard me. The police are destroying half of New York to kill Spider-Man, and for what? Because they thought he stole a science experiment or that he was trying to kill JJ or like, this is just insane. Like, it's crazy. Whoever thought of this is just wild. These levels are obviously ridiculous, but in a good way, in a great way, in fact. Stan Lee promised an action-packed adventure and Neversoft didn't disappoint. You could tell that these series of levels were meant to be one long level, but the power of the consoles at the time couldn't take this level of destruction without exploding. Running away from the chopper, I'm sure, is a core memory for anyone who played this game as a kid. It leaves a lasting impression, and as far as a set piece goes, it's up there with some of the best. Like even today, this is a memorable moment, and it's a highlight of Spider-Man 1. They even give you an opportunity to fight a few bad guys on the way if you want to get a break from the swinging, but we gotta go save the city, so it's no time to waste. We run into Black Cat once again, who tells us that Rhino and Venom are out causing havoc. Venom kidnapped MJ and is clearly taunting Peter in order to get him to show up to fight. Now, something came to my mind is that Venom clearly knew to go get MJ because he knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Whether or not Eddie knows everything that Venom knows, I'm not sure, but seeing as that Eddie couldn't recognize Peter at the conference, it's safe to say that maybe Eddie doesn't fully know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but Venom knows that, and that's why he went after MJ. But that's just a guess on my end. Black Cat encourages Peter to go save MJ, but he responds in the most heroic way possible.
Helping me with Omnitech. I can handle Rhino.
Rhino by yourself? Thanks, Cat, but no thanks. Look, being Spider-Man has given me a lot and taken a lot away, but one thing never changes. My responsibility to use my powers for others before myself, no matter what the cost. There are innocent people at Omnitech, and they need our help right now. I won't let them down. Then I'll stop Venom. And this time, it's for the last time.
Now, this right here is the Amazing Spider-Man that I grew up on. His conviction is always as important as his quips, and this is who Spider-Man is to me. But I gotta be honest here, as heroic as this sounds in reality, Venom's only threat right now is that he's going to annoy the people of New York by being on this broadcast all day just taunting Spider-Man if he doesn't show up. So as much as I appreciate the sentiment, clearly MJ will be fine until we get back. We find Rhino at Omnitech and another device is stolen. Out of nowhere, Black Cat takes a horn right where the sun don't shine and the boss fight begins. Now, I needed Jehovah God and Jesus Christ to help me with this fight because I could tell that it was a puzzle more than a straightforward fight, but I kept getting caught on these angles around these machines and really couldn't figure out a good way of taking Rhino down. He would start up his charge as if he's about to run into these boxes, but then he would just go right around them. They showed me that I needed to hang back a bit and actually make distance between me and Rhino. And as he charges at you, you can actually move around and he'll actually follow you around so you can lead him directly into the power boxes. Now, what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't throw these barrels at him because they cause these great explosions that can actually kill you too. After all the power lines are down, you need to whack him a few more times, so now you need to line him up against a wall, and once he crashes into him, you can wail on him a bit. But be careful, as sometimes he can pop out of the wall really fast and get you. With Rhino down, we check on Black Cat unmasked, and at first I didn't know why Peter went unmasked, but Jehovah God and Jesus Christ reminded me that Peter is wanted by the police, so maybe he figured that this would be safer. Now, Black Cat tries to tell Peter that these paramedics are actually goons, but he doesn't actually hear her say this, so he just thinks that she's going to the hospital where she'll be safe. Peter heads off to find MJ, and when he comes out empty-handed, he tells the Human Torch all his worries. But all the Human Torch does is just say, "Sad story, bro," and just rolls out like, aren't they supposed to be best friends? Couldn't he do something to help? But thankfully, Venom got tired of waiting on Peter and came straight to him, and now the chase is on. This is another race type of mission where you have to follow Venom through the city, and if you don't keep up with him, it's game over. This level is like any other rooftop level, but I did find a few collectibles I haven't seen before. The armor suit changes Spider-Man's appearance and gives him double health. This should be pretty useful when you finally fight Venom, and I actually found a cool comic book laying around. These might be in previous stages, but I gotta go back to find out if I missed any. Now, chasing Venom is pretty straightforward, and there is this funny scene with the two crashing through this building.
Get out of my way, nerd! Watch that first step, Parker. It's a doozy!
Ow, my head! Oh, toe, ow!
Look out, lady!
Oh my goodness!
No! Sorry, lady. Didn't see a thing.
Now, don't get too caught up on this scene because right after this, Venom will juke the hell out of you, and this is where I kept losing to him over and over again. Not only did I have to deal with Venom's slick moves, but behind the scenes, it was thunderstorming where I was when I was playing this mission, and my monitor kept getting messed up and OBS kept getting knocked out, but Jehovah God and Jesus Christ pulled me through this and I was able to beat Venom finally. We finally catch Venom in an alleyway and he keeps talking junk to Peter, but I think Spider-Man has something to say.
Where'd Spider-Wuss go? Spider-Wuss! Come out and play!
Tag!
Now when the fight starts, I noticed that Spider-Man gave himself these web gloves. These allow you to do a lot more damage than normal and it's essential for this fight. After a while, they'll go away and I didn't know how to bring them back. So I tried fighting Venom like normal, and with my armor I thought I had a good chance, but I died. Yeah, if you have armor and die, it doesn't give it back to you even if you reach the checkpoint, it just goes away. So I relied on my web gloves, but again, those run out really fast, so I was just stuck. I tried everything in this fight. I did combos, wasn't good enough, threw stuff at Venom, that did some damage, but again, he's really fast and he goes invisible, and I just knew I was missing something here. That's when Jehovah God and Jesus Christ reminded me of something important. This is a PlayStation 1 game, and if I wanted to learn anything about the game, I should check the manual. The manual not only showed me how to get my gloves back, but it actually showed me moves I didn't even know existed. There's a chance that I missed some optional tutorial in the previous stages, but it's also possible that this information is only in the manual. Either way it goes, thanks to Jehovah God and Jesus Christ, I learned how to use the web gloves, the web blast, and a few other moves I'll try out later. Like I said earlier, Venom will go invisible, and the best thing to do is to get behind him with your gloves and pop him a few times. Taking him on face to face is too risky as he can actually hit you mid-combo, and this is a lot faster than when Rhino did it. Now the web blast does a lot of damage, but you gotta time it just right. And don't forget to throw things at Venom because you can also do damage while finding a comic book and some extra health if you need it. Now my spidey senses went off after I found that comic book under the car because that told me that I probably missed other comic books in previous levels. Venom runs into the sewers like a coward, and after a rough landing, we go right after him. There are crocs in these pipes, and this was actually hinted at in a previous level.
Monsters infest sewers. Yeah, right.
While down here, I decided to use my new moves, grabbing and web pulls. These don't drastically change anything about the combat, but they do make the combat a little bit more complex than I thought it was. I also made good use of the precision web swings down here. Jehovah God and Jesus Christ gave me the idea to use it way before the game even mentioned it. Wherever you point the cursor, Spider-Man will swing to, and you can even take your hands off the control and just watch the game play itself. The sewers take us to the subway, but before we go to the next mission, just want to point this out. Did nobody notice the giant hole in the subway system with the mutant crocodiles coming out of it? Like nobody noticed that at all? On top of the train, we have an epic battle where we have to fight through waves and waves of crocs. All you can do here is just survive as long as you can because it's actually really tricky fighting these guys because any false move can have you falling down to your death. The crocs can push you really easily and they do a lot of damage as well. They do give you a lot of health in this mission as it's flying by, but the game is actually pretty tricky here. They wanted it to be a little bit harder by switching the direction that the health will come in. So 1 minute it'll be on your left, the other minute it'll be on your right, and you really can't tell which direction it's coming from, especially while you're being attacked by the crocs. I gotta give it to Neversoft though, because they really made this scene feel like you're fighting for your life on a fast moving train. The tricks they use to make this level feel cinematic while also giving the player all the controls that they would have in any other stage is actually pretty impressive, as today, most developers, if they wanted to do some type of cinematic action scene where you're beating up bad guys on top of a train, it will be restricted and you won't be able to do everything you normally would do in any other mission. After dealing with the crocs, Venom gets the drop on us and knocks us further down into the sewers. We deal with more crocs as usual, but the gimmick of this stage are these switches. Like any other water level from this time period, you gotta raise and lower the water level in order to navigate through the stage. Nothing complicated about it, but make sure you look before you jump or you might end up like me. Now we gotta deal with this onslaught of mutated crocs. These guys just never stop coming in and you need to flip all these switches again to lower the water level to escape. But you gotta be careful here because I actually died accidentally by touching the water right after I lowered it. And another time a croc caught me in midair with a blast and I just kept dying for some reason in this stage. The best thing to do is to flip all the switches as fast as possible. Try taking the corners when you're jumping in between each section, as just swinging straight down the middle can get you killed. And when it comes to the Crocs, just keep punching. I wouldn't spend too much time with them. Like I said, they will never stop responding, so beat up enough that you need to and then move on to the next switch and just keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. There is a comic here to collect as well, and it is nice that if you die in this game after grabbing a comic book, the game kind of saves it so you don't have to grab it again. We spot Venom and go after him again, but we still got to deal with this water. Jehovah God and Jesus Christ had to help me out here because I kept trying to cross it, but I just kept drowning. Now, the reason I was getting caught up is because Spider-Man says he has to time this just right, but that really doesn't mean anything. I thought he was saying I need to hurry up and just go when I saw an opportunity, but really what you're supposed to do is when he says this, go back a bit. Wait till the water just starts to lower, then move. If you just try to go as soon as you see an opportunity, you'll never make it across. We finally catch up to Venom, but he locks himself behind these doors and we have to flip these switches in order to get past it. This is another puzzle, and Venom will actually taunt you while you try to think over what you need to do next. Now, the puzzle is simple once you think about it for a few seconds. Each switch shows you which door it controls. All you got to do is just make sure you're not flipping doors down that you already opened and vice versa. Now, even though I said this puzzle is easy, I did ask Jehovah God and Jesus Christ for help because Venom kept taunting me and he was kind of getting to me and making me rush through the puzzle and not think straight. He'll keep telling you that MJ doesn't have much time left, and I didn't want to fail the mission, so I kept overthinking it. I'm not even sure if there even is a time limit or not, but the game did a great job at this because it made me feel like I was on the clock and made me feel like I needed to rush, which is what they were trying to do. I finally ran into Venom, but he had no health bars, so I figured I needed to run away. What's a sewer level without a maze? And you gotta pay really close attention because you can easily get lost down here. I really love how Neversoft plays with the lighting here because it gives the game a horror vibe with Venom popping out of the darkness, grabbing you out of nowhere. You can find some armor down here and you can even find the lizard as this is his lair, but Venom kind of locked him up so he really can't do anything. But he can give you the directions towards MJ. Now I love how old school this is because you have to listen very carefully to his directions. If not, you'll be lost, and I mean really lost. Now on the surface, this may not seem all that special, but you gotta remember, in context to modern day gaming, if they gave you directions in a modern day game, they would just basically tell you where to go. It'll be yellow paint everywhere, it'll be a marker on the map, it'll be some line drawing you to where you need to go, or eventually like the main character will say, maybe I should go this way or that way. None of that happens here and you just need to figure it out. Now, you don't have to figure it out completely on your own, as Venom did leave around some signs that read cool, warm, and hot, telling you that you're going in the right direction. Even with these as backups, the player could still get lost if they don't know how to get to the other side of the sewer where these signs are. But once you figure it out, you're in for one of the hardest boss fights so far. It's round 2 with Venom, and he has MJ trapped, and if we don't hurry up, she could drown. Venom will keep turning on these switches that you need to hurry up and turn off, and you need to figure out a way to take him out, but it's kind of hard because he keeps going invisible. Unlike the first time you fight Venom, this arena isn't built for a straightforward fight. And it makes sense because Venom will keep using his disappearing trick and sneaking up on you when you least expect it. So you need to be more strategic, but at first, I couldn't figure it out. Anytime I jump, he would just grab me and pull me straight to him like Scorpion. Not that Scorpion, but this Scorpion. I accidentally let MJ die one time because I didn't realize that there's actually more switches around the arena than just these 2 that you see in the main room. Any other time I died, it was because Venom was just outright spanking me. I would get close to beating him a few times, but you really don't take much damage here, and after a few mistakes, it's an easy game over. So I prayed on it, and Jehovah God and Jesus Christ showed me a quick way to deal with Venom, and it's probably the intended way you're supposed to fight him here. See, Venom disappears more often than he did the first time, which means you get less hits in, if you can even hit him at all. What Jehovah God and Jesus Christ showed me is that this is a ranged fight. You gotta use your web balls, which do a lot of damage, keeps you at a safe distance from him, and you can actually stop him from pulling switches if you just hit him with your web ball instead of trying to run up on him and punch him like I was doing before. Now this makes the fight sound easy, but the devs added a clever trick. Venom normally spawns right near one of the switches that can end up drowning MJ. Your web balls can also turn the switches on or off, meaning if you miss, you could accidentally hurt MJ by accident. This plays really well with Venom's disappearing act because your projectiles can phase through him if he does it right before it connects. So you need to pay attention to MJ's cries because you don't want to be the one who caused Peter to be a widower. Peter finally knocks some sense into Venom.
Why did you come back?
You should know, Spider-Man. The heist you pulled at the Science Expo. You're the bad guy this time.
You idiot! Think, Eddie. Think back to that day. I was with you in the crowd. An imposter Spider-Man was on stage. He burned both of us, and now we've been played against each other.
You're right, Parker.
Mary Jane!
I gotcha! You and your wife are innocent, Parker. Our bad.
Our bad? Our bad? I'm gonna kill
Peter
you!
Parker! Just get me out of here now!
Bummer. You're in the doghouse now, dude.
Coming, honey.
After they straighten things out, they team up to figure out who's the mastermind behind all of this. And I just love Venom and Spider-Man's relationship. It's like two siblings bickering back and forth.
So, we're partners. But only for now. After we bust those tech thieves, it's payback time for kidnapping my wife.
Jeez, one little mistake. We said we're sorry.
Yeah, whatever. Now, the imposter was a shapeshifter, so that means it was either Mysterio or the Chameleon.
Hey, Chameleon was our idea. We thought of that.
Tell me this, Einstein. Who could have wanted to steal Octavius' technology?
Ooh, we know.
Who?
The Submariner.
Submariner? Get serious, will you?
The mighty Thor.
Are you out of your mind? Don't answer that.
Galactus.
Forget it, Eddie. I need Jameson's help on this. We're going to the Bugle.
Jameson. We hate Jameson.
You bonehead. We're not going to see Jameson. We're going to use his computer database.
Ooh, are we gonna surf the web?
Let's just go, okay?
They decide to get some info from the Bugle, and like always, things don't go as planned. While Venom goes after Carnage, Spider-Man has to save the employees at the Bugle from these symbiotes. The main gimmick of this stage is that you gotta flip on the fans to break up the webbings. Now these guys can take a lot of damage and deal a lot of damage too. And I really like this cool slime animation. It sort of reminds me of Chaos from Sonic Adventure. Now you need to use your web gloves if you want to do any significant amount of damage. And I wouldn't get too combo happy because they can hit you in between your combos, and one hit from them actually does a lot of damage. We save the hostages and take a ride down the elevator, taking out symbiotes and flipping switches as we go. Now you want to be quick about flipping these switches because the elevator can fall on you, and yeah, it got me. Inside the Bugle's printing room, we find machines creating new symbiotes. We gotta take them out before moving on, and I gotta say this is one of my favorite levels based on shock value alone. First off, there are so many symbiotes here that this is easily one of the toughest levels in the game, which I love a good challenge. And my favorite is one of the most ridiculous deaths I've seen in any game. Spider-Man can get killed by this newspaper printer. Now I don't know anything about these machines, but I'm pretty sure they can't evaporate a grown man. I also got trolled by this giant barrel, and serious question, like why is this even down here? Then my favorite of all, out of nowhere, Jehovah God and Jesus Christ led me straight to this new power-up that turns Spider-Man's webs into flames. This is awesome, and you can bully the symbiotes with these things. Your normal webs are practically useless, but the magma webs do crazy damage. Even the web you swing on is on fire, and that's just a cool, neat touch. Like, they didn't have to do that. And I wonder if Neversoft came up with this, or did it come from the comics? So I did a little research, and based on what I could find, this seems to be something Neversoft made up, but was adopted in later comics, which is pretty cool. But like I said, I'm not a Spider-Man expert, but if you know, let me know in the comment section if this information is right. I played it safe while destroying the last machine because I ran out of flame webs, but thanks to Jehovah God and Jesus Christ, I got it done. Because this level was so hard that if I failed again, I was going to lose my mind. And you know what? I just realized something. Ever since that chase with Venom, the game has been increasing in difficulty consistently. So that can only mean the game is going to get more difficult as we play. And guess what? I was right. We got more symbiotes, and they're even harder now because we don't have any flame webs. I had to pray to God to get through this stage because I kept dying. It's clear that the devs wanted you to knock the symbiotes into the flames, but the game's lock-on and camera system can't be relied on. The symbiotes just move too fast, and I really could never get them lined up right. But Jehovah God and Jesus Christ showed me a trick to get past this level. I needed to take out the machines first because they create clones instead of taking out the first clone that I see. Because anytime I would take that one out, it would just spawn 2 more in. So I would kind of dodge around the first clone in the room, which is actually pretty hard because they can actually hit you and take a lot of health. But if you can get around him, now you only have to deal with 1 enemy, which is better than dealing with 2. After chasing down the fake Spidey, Jehovah God and Jesus Christ showed me this area above this one clone that I missed so bad that I died searching for the next machine in this oddly placed elevator. But once I figured it out, I flipped the switch, took out the machine, then ran into the Spider-Man meme. The mystery behind our doppelganger is none other than Mysterio, and he's big mad. Now, before I explain this fight, I gotta say this is one of the most ambitious boss fights from the PlayStation 1 era that I've ever seen. A 4-layered boss fight with traps on each floor, and so much stuff going on that the poor PlayStation 1 could barely hold on. Mysterio's weak points are his buttons. They start at the top of his head all the way down to his knees. You need to shoot them at least twice with your web ball while dodging all his attacks and avoiding these pillars that can stop you from moving. This is one hectic fight and you need to be quick on your feet or you might get squashed. Most of the time, it's pretty easy to just move left and right and jump over these rolling pins, but anytime I would go to the top layer, I would just get grabbed and it just kept pissing me off. But Jehovah God and Jesus Christ saved the day by showing me that running to the left instead of the right like I was doing will avoid the grab. You also need to be patient as sometimes you won't be locked on even if you're facing a weak point, and you could be wasting your web blast. Thankfully, the arena is always spawning in health and webs, but they move around to different levels, so you gotta be quick about it. Now, he does have a second phase. Up top, he'll shoot lasers while all the floors beneath him will be electrified. You definitely don't want to get tossed below where the floor below is more than likely a death hazard. Jehovah God and Jesus Christ saved me because after this slam, I was able to get enough hits in to take out a laser. Then I got grabbed again with barely any health, but Jehovah God and Jesus Christ gave me victory as I climbed back up, and right before the electrical floor got me, they gave me the final blow. The toughest boss fight in the game. It's a highlight and one of the best moments so far. It's impressive on a technical level, it challenges the player's reflexes and skills, and it had me praying, and that's always a good thing. Mysterio won't tell us who's behind all this, but he does say that the symbiotes are going to take over. Spider-Man knows that nobody can truly control the symbiotes, but whoever is behind all this thinks they can. We get information out of Mysterio and head to the waterfront, but along the way we run into the Punisher. We have a little talk with the Punisher, and after he gets off our case, he offers to help us, but Spider-Man's trying to keep the death toll down to a 0. And side note, Jehovah God and Jesus Christ put this in my mind. Why does the Punisher look like Nick Cage, who played Ghost Rider, who also now plays Spider-Man Noir? Inside the waterfront, we got more symbiotes to deal with, and thank Jehovah God, we have more flame webs to make this easier, and not just easier, I just love these things. Before we go any deeper, there's this tricky little door that if you don't pay enough attention to the textures, you wouldn't probably tell it's broken, but behind it is a comic book, so I grabbed it. We make it to the underground layer, decked out with high-powered lasers aimed at Spidey. All we gotta do is swing across, but make sure you head toward a platform instead of trying to swing down the middle because you're not gonna make it. There is this secret switch that Jehovah God and Jesus Christ pointed out to me, and you have to go all the way back in order to get the secret comic book. Next is the control room. There are many doors that we can go into, but we got these symbiotes in our way. Now, if you pay attention, the devs show you an armor pickup above the symbiotes, and there's a flame pickup below. Not that you'll need any of this right now, as this is like the easiest level in the game. All you gotta do is speak to Black Cat, who was taken here after the Rhino fight, flip all the switches to shut off the gas that we saw in the beginning of the game, and help Black Cat. I ignored the symbiotes mostly because, well, they don't really get in your way. Now it's time to face Doc Ock. Yeah, it's pretty obvious that he was the mastermind behind it all, but from Spider-Man's perspective, he had no clue. He was working with Carnage as he believes that symbiotes and humans coming together would make life better. We know that symbiotes can heal people and give humans greater strength, but as Spider-Man said,
No one can control the symbiotes.
Venom finally pops up and takes on Carnage while we deal with the good doctor. This fight is pretty simple, just run around and avoid his attacks, that's really all you need to do. Once these panels come down, you need to turn them all on, and once you get them all on, his shield will go down, and that leaves him open to an attack. You won't get that many hits in by doing melee attacks, but Jehovah God Jesus Christ had to remind me once again to use my web blasts, which do massive damage. The Doctor is out, and so is Venom, leaving Carnage to us. Carnage is a lot more aggressive than Doc Ock. You have to run around like before, but none of your attacks do damage. I learned that the bubble in the middle can kill me after I ran in to get this comic. What you gotta do is grab Carnage and toss him into the middle of the bubble. Jehovah God and Jesus Christ really helped me out here. Most boss fights aren't grabbable, and I didn't even think to do it until they reminded me of this move. Because grabbing worked, I even tried to use the web drag. That's a move where you shoot your web at an enemy and then you can move them to the left or the right. But I guess Carnage is too strong for that, so I just gave up trying to use it. Now, Jehovah God and Jesus Christ also helped me out at the very end of this fight because I was doing really good, but near the end, I kept panicking, and every time I would try to toss Carnage into the middle of the bubble, I was actually tossing him in front of these little machines that make the bubble, and if you do that, he'll just bounce right off of them and attack you almost instantly. I have no idea why I kept running into this situation at the end of the fight, and I almost died here, but Jehovah God and Jesus Christ brought me through. With Carnage down, you would think the game would end, but it's not over yet. The symbiote takes over the Doctor, and Jehovah God and Jesus Christ just pointed out to me how ironic this is because this was his whole plan for the symbiotes and humans to come together, so he got what he was looking for. The game wraps up with one of the most intense chase sequences in gaming. This doubles as a spectacle and a challenge. You need to keep moving and keep swinging, but you need to make sure you don't attach to any walls because this will slow you down. Sometimes you need to web zip up, and thankfully your spider senses will go off to warn you when you need to do this. The only part about this stage I didn't like is the few times that the camera was blocked by a door. This normally happens when you need to cut a corner, and of course you can't see anything when the camera's being blocked, but Jehovah God and Jesus Christ brought me through this, so I didn't die on this mission. But I did miss the comic book, which is crazy to put this right here, like near the end, where you're panicking and we're trying to run away. Like, who's gonna get this on the first try? Spidey makes it out just in time before everything blows up, and the symbiote actually saves Dr. Octavius. But the original Carnage, like the original guy that's Carnage, was still in the other room. So I guess he's dead now, because no one got him out. Oops. The game ends in the best way possible. Just watch this clip.
After all that, it was the symbiote that saved Ock. You've got to be kidding. Perfect end to a perfect day. Huh? What the?
It's a good thing Black Cat gave me a call, son.
Looks like just in time.
Hey, Spidey, can you get us Captain America's autograph?
Oh, brother.
Punisher, do you have any threes?
Go fish! So, nice of you to join us for once, Spidey.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was out saving the world. Beating you guys at cards ought to be pretty easy.
Your spider sense won't save you here.
Look who's talking, Daredevil. You've been looking at my cards all night.
I don't need to look at your cards, Punisher. Your bluffs are so obvious.
Okay. Let's keep this a nice, friendly, clean game.
Who keeps inviting this guy?
Hey, will you guys keep it down?
Hey, loosen up, kids! I'm on fire!
Wait, hold on. Time out. All of you guys were working together, and you still couldn't take down Spider-Man?
It's not my fault. Doc Ock's plan was horrible. Everyone knows you can't control the symbiote.
Hey, wait! So, I'm a Rhino, you're a Scorpion, and he's an octopus. What's a Mysterio?
So, Rhino, you got any threes?
Hey! I got a bingo! Ha! You guys think you're so smart, but I won! Ha! Who's your daddy, Doc Ock? Ha! Victory is mine! You're always laughing at me, but who's crying now, huh? Wait a minute, I made a mistake.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Spider-Man. I only played the first level growing up thanks to the demo, and I finally beat it as an adult, and I can say that this might be the best Spider-Man game ever made. I've beaten Spider-Man PS4, and I'll eventually cover that on the channel. I still need to play Miles Morales and Spidey 2, but for the most part, when it comes to Spider-Man games, at least the ones I played, this is the best one. I've always said that the Spider-Man games were either decent/mediocre games to good games, and a lot of times they're just fun enough to play, but not fun enough to beat. This one was different. This is just top to bottom a great game, and it's not even that long, so you can always boot it back up, play it again, and have an even better time on a second playthrough. I actually had no plans on playing this game, but when I asked Jehovah God Jesus Christ to guide me on what the next project should be, this is where they took me. I needed to play a game like this. Something simple but engaging, a game that doesn't take too long but also isn't too short. Spider-Man just scratches all my gamer itches, as it checks all the boxes needed to be a great video game alongside being a great Spider-Man game. You might say, what's the difference between those two? Well, there are games where if you're really into Spider-Man and you're just a big fan of the character, you might consider a Spider-Man game a great game because it does enough for you as a fan of Spider-Man for you to feel satisfied. But when a licensed IP is just a great game, period, it doesn't matter if you're into the character or not. Now, we all grew up with Spider-Man, and I don't know too many people who don't have some love for the character. But for someone like me, where my knowing of Spider-Man is only in passing from the movies and like the early animated series, I don't know much about the character. So I don't really have that deep of a connection to Spider-Man out of the basic level of understanding who he is. And for that, I would say that that doesn't play any role in why I love this game so much. Yes, it's a Spider-Man game, but if this was not about Spider-Man, this would still be a great game. And although you may be done with the story, the fun hasn't ended. You still have a hard mode that you can tackle. You got to go back and collect all the comic books that you might have missed. There's a list of challenges that you could play for high scores, a level select so you can just replay your favorite moments. There are cheat codes that you could play with, one of which unlocks a what if mode that changes the game in a goofy way, which is a whole new playthrough in itself. There's just a lot of things to do in Spider-Man 1 even after you're done with it. HowLongToBeat.com says it takes about 6 hours to beat Spider-Man. Back in the day, this game cost $50, which isn't that much cheaper than your average game today. I bring this up because Spider-Man reminded me how a short game can be worth more than a longer one. While the new Spider-Man games can be 20 hours plus, I got more out of this primitive experience because they made every single second count and you can feel the quality and care oozing out of it. There is no filler, there is no boring moment. They made everything they had work so well that Spider-Man competes with games today. The gaming industry lied to us because I remember for so long they said there were no good licensed superhero games, and not until Batman Arkham did they say that this was possible. But that can't be true because Spider-Man on the PS1 was a great game years before Arkham ever came out. I didn't even get into the aesthetics of the game. The game has great graphics, the soundtrack is crazy, the UI looks cool, and the main menu shows off high 3D models for the time. Everything about this just shows us how much Neversoft is a great developer that sadly now just helps make Call of Duty, and how back then, or probably even now, they love Spider-Man. And this game is just an example of that. You could tell this team loved Spider-Man and they love making great games, and that's what we got. Like, they were having so much fun with this game that even in the cheat code menu, if you put in a bad word, you'll even get these funny little Easter eggs where Spider-Man will like slap the word that you typed in and change it to something else. Spider-Man for the PlayStation 1 is an amazing game, no pun intended, and I'm grateful my God allowed me to play it and share my experience with you all. There is still a thriving community around the game with people speed running it and creating mods for it. I can't wait to see what happens in the sequel, as I actually had that game, like I said, as a kid, but I lost it somehow and never got around to beating it. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the review, and I'll see you guys in the next video. May Jehovah God Jesus Christ bless you all, and I hope you all have a blessed day.